The easiest way to think of amines is as a near relative of ammonia. In amines, the hydrogen atoms in the ammonia have been replaced one at a time by alkyl groups. Amines fall into different classes depending on how many of the hydrogen atoms are replaced. In primary amines, only one of the hydrogen atoms in the ammonia molecule has been replaced. That means that the formula of the primary amines will be R and H2, where R it can be an alkyl group or aryl group. If the nitrogen atom is directly bonded to the benzene ring or aromatic ring, it will be classified as primary aromatic amine. In a secondary amine, two of the hydrogen in an ammonia have been replaced by alkyl or aryl groups. While in a tertiary amines, all the hydrogens in an ammonia molecule have been replaced by alkyl or aryl groups. Naming amines can be quite confusing because there are so many variations on the names. The common names of amines are from the names of the alkyl group bonded to the nitrogen followed by suffix amine. For example here, okay, CH3, CH2 and H2. Alright, we have ethyl bonded to the nitrogen atom, so the name will be ethylamine. For the second structure, we have three ethyl group bonded to the nitrogen. We can use the prefix tri. Okay, so since we have triethyl, okay, it will become triethylamine. For the third structure here, we have two ethyl, okay, two ethyl group bonded to the nitrogen and one methyl group bonded to the same nitrogen. All right, so we are going to use the prefix di. Okay, so we have diethyl. Okay, since E come first before M, so we are going to put ethyl on the front. Okay, so diethyl methylamine. And the last structure here, we have a third butyl group attached to the nitrogen, so the name will become third butylamine. So the common names of amines also accepted in the IUPAC nomenclature. To give the IUPAC name of aliphatic amine, we are going to find the longest continuous chain of carbon atom that contains the amino group. So this longest continuous chain will become our parent name. The ending E in the alkane name is changed into amine. So we are going to have alkanamine. Give the number to the position of amino group and other substituents if present on the parent chain. Let's have a look at the first structure. Alright, so we have CH3, CH2 and H2. Okay, so just now we already have a look at the common names for this structure. So it will become ethylamine. So the IUPAC name for this structure, okay, so since the longest carbon chain is 2 carbon, okay, so we have ethane. Alright, so the E in ethane will be changed into amine. So the IUPAC name for this structure is ethanamine. For the second structure, alright, so we have this carbon longest chain. Okay, so since the position of the amino groups is near to the right end, so we are going to number it from right to left. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so the IUPAC name for this structure is 2-butanamine. Okay, 2 because the position of amino group falls on the second carbon. Butane, 4 longest carbon chain. So the letter E in butane is changed into amine. So it will become 2-butanamine. For the last structure here, okay, we have 3 carbon longest chain. Okay, so since the CH3 group here are symmetrical to each other, so from here to here can be your longest carbon chain, here to here also can be your longest carbon chain. Okay, so tak kisah mana-mana you pick. Okay, so since the amino group is on the second carbon, okay, from left to right or bottom to up here, it is still on the second carbon, so tak kisah juga you nak numberkan dia macam mana. So let's say I'll number it like this. Okay, so we have amino groups on the second carbon and also a methyl group on the second carbon. So the IUPAC name for this structure is 2-methyl. Okay, we have a methyl group on the second carbon, 2-propanamine. Okay, because the amino group is false on the second carbon. So basically, this is how you name the primary aliphatic amine. Okay, so kalau you tengok dekat nitrogen ni only has one alkyl group attached to it. Okay, so only one hydrogen from the ammonia molecules is replaced by the alkyl group. Okay. For the secondary or tertiary aliphatic amine, the prefix N is used to show the position of other substituents on nitrogen atoms. Okay, so the non-numeric locant, so N is the non-numeric locant, is placed after the numeric locants when a list of them is needed. So let's have a look at our first example. Okay, so this is our longest carbon chain that includes the amino group. Okay, so since the amino group is near to the from the right end, okay, so we are going to numbers our carbon from right to left. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 carbon longest chain. Okay, so since we have a methyl group, okay, kita ada methyl group on the fourth carbon, second carbon, and also two methyl group on the nitrogen. Okay, so since we have 4 substituent actually, the methyl, okay, so the IUPAC name for this compound will be, okay, 2,4-N. Okay, so because the position of the methyl is on the second, fourth, and nitrogen. Okay, so we have two methyl on the nitrogen. Okay, so since this is an aliphatic amine, the non-numeric locant, which is N, is placed after the numeric locants. So we have 2, 4 on the front, okay, and then N because we have two methyl on the nitrogen atoms. Okay, so since we have 4 methyl group, okay, use the prefix tetra. Okay, tetra is for 4 same substituent. Okay, so we have tetramethyl, and then the amino group is placed on the third carbon on our longest carbon chain. Okay, so 3 hexanamine. Okay, hex because we have 6 carbon longest chain. Okay, so the IUPAC name for this compound is 2,4-N and tetramethyl 3 hexanamine. Alright, for this structure, okay, so we have a longest carbon chain that includes the amino groups. Okay, we have 4 carbon and 1 carbon here. So this one is going to be our longest carbon chain. And then since the nitrogen atom is placed near to the right end, so we are going to number it from right to left. Alright, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and as you can see here, we have a methyl group placed on the nitrogen atom. So the IUPAC name for this compound is N-methyl 2-butanamine. Aromatic amines is named as derivative of aniline. So when the nitrogen atom is directly bonded to the benzene ring, okay, so the parent name will become aniline. The non-numeric locant N is placed before the numeric locants when a list of them is needed. So dia tak sama macam aliphatic. Kalau aliphatic, N ni kita letak selepas number, okay, but then for the aromatic amines, the N is placed before the numeric locants. Okay, so for example, okay, so this structure, right, so since we have amino group and CH3 alkyl group here, okay, so the amino group will become our parent. So the carbon that attached to it, kita akan jadikan dia nombor 1. Okay, so tak kisah nak buat clockwise ataupun anti-clockwise, but then make sure our substituent, next substituent must falls on the lowest carbon. Okay, kita kena bagi our substituent the lowest set of number. So since here, okay, this one will become our parent. Okay, so the CH3 will become our substituent. So the IUPAC name for this structure is 4-methyl-aniline, or if you want to use the auto meta para, okay, prefix, okay, so since the substituent is on the first and fourth carbon of benzene, so we can use para, okay, as our prefix, para-methyl-aniline. For the second structure, the methyl is placed on the nitrogen. Okay, we have a secondary aromatic amines here. Okay, so on the nitrogen, we have 1 aryl group and 1 alkyl group. Okay, so 2 hydrogen on the nitrogen is replaced with alkyl or aryl groups. Okay, so we have secondary aromatic amines. Okay, so the IUPAC name for this compound is N-methyl-aniline. Alright, for the third compound, okay, so we have methyl group attached to the nitrogen atoms and also on the benzene ring. Okay, so the IUPAC name for this compound is And for dimethylaniline. Okay, so we have methyl on the nitrogen and also on the fourth carbon on the benzene ring. Kalau kita nomborkan 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the methyl group is placed on the nitrogen and also on the fourth carbon of the benzene ring. So the non-numeric locant N is placed before the numeric locants in the aromatic amines. So dia terbalik dengan aliphatic tu tadi. And last but not least, okay, for this tertiary aromatic amines, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, methyl group, okay, 2 of it attached on the nitrogen atom and another 2 is on the benzene ring. Okay, so kita nomborkan our benzene ring since the position for this methyl group and this methyl group are the same, okay. Alright, so kita nomborkan this carbon as the first carbon. Okay, carbon yang attached pada amino group is the first carbon. And then since this one and this one are symmetrical to each other, so mana-mana pun boleh jadi nombor 2. So let's say I'll number this one as 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so the IUPAC name for this compound will be NN26 tetramethylanilene. If amines become substituent, alright, so it means that if other functional group are present and the amino does not take the priority, it is named as amino substituent. Okay, for example, here we have a carboxyl and amino group. We know that the carboxyl group has the highest priority as the parent name. So the carboxyl group will become our parent. Okay, so find the longest carbon chain including the carboxyl group. Okay, so we have the carboxyl, this carbon, okay, will become our first carbon. Okay, kita kena bagi dia the lowest number of carbon. Okay, 2, 3, and 4 carbon. Alright, so the IUPAC name for this compound will be 2-amino-butanoic acid. Okay, 2-amino because the amino is false on the second carbon. Butanoic acid because we have 4 carbon longest chain. So kita tak perlu nomborkan the position of the carboxyl group in the aliphatic carboxylic acid. So boleh tengok balik how to name the carboxylic acid. Alright, so since dia mesti duduk pada terminal carbon, okay, kita tak perlulah nomborkan dia. For the aromatic carboxylic acid, so kita tahu dia punya parent akan jadi benzoic acid. So the carbon that attached to the carboxyl group will become the first carbon. Okay, so since this amino paling dekat dengan our carboxyl group, kita akan nomborkan dia secara clockwise. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 carbon. Alright, so the IUPAC name for this compound will be 2,4-diamino benzoic acid. Alright, so for the cyclic compound, okay, so we have OH and also amino group. Okay, so the hydroxy group will become the parent name because it has higher priority than the amino group. Okay, so kita akan jadikan dia sebagai parent. And then to number the carbon on our cyclic compound, kita akan start dengan the carbon that attached to the OH sebagai carbon number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So the IUPAC name for this compound will be 3-aminocyclohexanol.